Hello, my name is Nicole-Lasswell. I am the mother of 2 children on the autism spectrum. I call myself the innerpeacebroker, but I also have another page on Instagram called parentingautismheavenonearth. And I have a website, nicolelasswell, 2 S's, 2 L's.com, you'll see here. And my purpose in life at this moment is to write, speak, teach other parents of children with autism. And my hope is to educate and be there of support to the parents. Something that my husband and I have noticed is that there's more than enough resources for the children, but definitely not enough for the parents. And it's akin to when you find out that your children has autism, is akin to getting this amazing, something that's beyond this lifetime. It's just such a big deal to swallow, to understand. And the first thing that you're asked to do is to put the oxygen mask on the child first, and then you put it on yourself, because the idea is to get the kid everything he or she needs. But then in the process, you forget to put the mask on yourself, and then you're basically going to hypoxia and passing out, and they have the mask on, but you don't. The most important person in this whole thing, I feel, is you, the parent. You have to be ready to deal with, as you already know, because you've gotten the diagnosis, with quite a bit. And so my point is I decided to write a blog. So I have a few blogs. I started with the first one, and this first one is also turning into a book. Each point that I mention is going to be a chapter in the book. So today I'm just going to mention the top 10 things, and hopefully I'll try to keep this video nice and short so you can use it, because I'm going to come back and expand on each point a little more. So when you find out, the first thing that I wish someone would have told us when we found out about our firstborn having autism, this is the top 10 things that I would give them. So number 1 is grieve. Grieve, let the guilt and shame go, and don't ask why this happened. It is what it is. One of the things that my husband asked me at the beginning, because I had a tougher time with it. My husband was like, okay, let's go ahead and do this. I was like, okay, but I definitely got into the bottom of despair. And so my husband asked, imagine if he had been born into a family that didn't care or didn't have the resources, and just, let him not have everything he needs to succeed in life. How much harder would life be for him? And that immediately sinks in the heart. And of course I was like, no, this is our boy, and we're going to do what we need to do. But as soon as you grieve and understand that it's just a disability, you let go of the idea of what you thought your child should be. All of a sudden you explode this paradigm of normal, because you thought, kid goes to school, goes to college, gets married, has children. Well, all of a sudden you don't even know if all those things are going to be a possibility. So instead it's like, okay, what will we have with this child? What can we learn from him? And it's just very freeing, actually. At the beginning, you're like, wow, I've never even thought of that for myself, because we're so programmed, right? Life should be X, Y, or Z. But as soon as you let that go, then it's like, okay, let's see what we can do. Let's have fun with this. So number 1 is grieve, because you need to get it out of your system. Do what you need to, but let it go. Number 2, of course, is get the autism diagnosis from a medical professional. So go see a developmental pediatrician, or psychologist or psychiatrist, so that you can get that autism or ADHD, whatever it is that the child has, is a medical diagnosis, so that you can go into therapies, and the insurance, your medical insurance, will cover it. Because if they don't have the diagnosis, the insurance will not cover it. So make sure you go and talk. And of course, you want to ensure that what you're dealing with is autism and not something else. So I highly recommend to get the autism diagnosis from the medical professional. So number 3, once you do get that diagnosis, make sure that you find a great therapists around the area. For us, we went with ABA, which is Applied Behavioral Analysis Therapy, Speech Therapy, and Occupational Therapy. We found a couple of great places here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We started with Easter Seals, North Texas, and they were fantastic, but they were out of pocket, so that got really expensive real quick. And then there was then we ended up with Pediaplex, which we absolutely loved because it had the one-stop shop, and the owner of the place is just fantastic. And she started it because she has a daughter with autism who's a fantastic success in life. And yeah, because mom's like, no, we're going to do this and we're going to help other people out on the process. So it's pretty amazing. But back to ABA, speech, and OT, the earlier you start with the intervention, the better. Make sure you find places that, you do your research. You talk to everybody, you talk to the parents, but make sure that you cover all your bases: behavioral, speech, and occupational. It'll help tons. Both our boys started when they were 3 years old, and we stopped at Pediaplex when Stephen was 5 and Will was about 7, and it was the best thing we could have done for them. Absolutely. Then, as you're going through the number 4 is find out what's covered by your insurance. You don't want to have that huge surprise, which we have had, and you probably will, but this is where, dealing with insurance is quite infuriating, and this is why it's so important that you, again, put the oxygen mask on you first, get the help you need to be able to zenfully deal with the insurance companies, because it will drive you crazy. So instead, try to go with that mindset of, what do we need, how much is going to cost, and just very X, Y, or Z. Find out what you can afford, find out what you can't. There's so many resources out there to get grants to help your children, to pay for therapy for your children. I mean, make sure you do your homework, though, and find out what is and what is not covered. How many hours, how many sessions. Ask those questions. Very important. Number 5. Take time for yourselves as parents, together and separate, no excuses. So that means if you're in a marriage or a union, whatever it is, if you're together with someone raising children that are on the spectrum, really this goes to any parent, anybody in any relationship, make sure that you give yourselves time off. So one weekend will be, okay, yes, husband, go have the boys' weekend. Yes, wife, go have the girls' weekend. Try to keep it in a way that it's restorative. Of course, it can be a lot of fun. Yeah, go drinking, whatever it is. But if you can also make space for you to connect back to who you are, why you're here, the why me kind of thing, definitely have those moments. But find out so that you can come back to yourself and then take time to spend with your spouse or with your significant other, because then it can be very clear of why you're with each other. This type of situation can easily become a codependent relationship that you don't want. You're already having very needy, special needs people in your life, and then we tend to, lean a little too much on or we even pick fights because we feel like we should get this love from this other person. So it's really important that you get clear on who you are, who that person is, why you're choosing to be with each other every day. Super important. Take that time off together and separate. Number 6, get a good psychologist for you, your spouse, and a good psychologist for your kiddo and all your kiddos. I honestly have not had a psychologist for myself. I had a spiritual director, so I had a different way of approaching it. But I journal, I meditate, I pray. I have a system of practice that has gotten me to this point. And I do have that spiritual director where I can have someone check me, right? Because sometimes we will do a specific behavior that we don't even know that we might be doing it for a completely different reason. So it's very nice to find out why we feel a specific way when something happens. We react a specific way when, someone cuts us off, and you can go down that system, like, why did it bother me so much that someone cut me off? Well, what's the worst thing about that? Well, it feels like they don't respect you. What's the worst thing about that? Well, I'm not worthy. And it can go down many, many levels, but that's why you react the way you react when someone cuts you off. People that don't feel that way are just very chill and they don't mind if someone cuts them off. It doesn't excuse the behavior of the person who cut you off, but it does give you power over your emotions, and you can be calm and let life pass around you, and you can be that center piece. So good psychologist for you, good psychologist for your kiddos, because they're going to need not just your kid on the spectrum, which will probably need, like ours, for example. I didn't want to have to do medication, but you know what? Medication works where it needs to work, and so we do need medication management. So we go to a psychiatrist that helps us with Will. Of course, I do the most of the talking with observations I have as a parent, but now that Will's talking more, he's able to express himself, and it's wonderful. But you also need to do it for the kids that don't have anything, no disability. They're still dealing with everybody in the family going through this. So it's very important that everybody's mental health is on deck. Everybody is taken care of. Nobody's being left behind. It's the whole unit. Everybody loves each other, that type of thing. Number 7, find out what your local ISD is like for special needs and work with the teachers. So we did a little research. We actually ended up in an apartment because we were looking around and we found a really good district. We're like, all right, we're gonna do that. And we came, and it's wonderful. We love the district. But what's amazing is that you still need to work with your teachers. This one's, again, this is why you find that inner peace, because some teachers you're gonna work with and your child is just gonna love them and they're gonna do great. With other teachers, not so much. And that's okay. You still need to work with that teacher. As a parent, you still need to advocate for your child, but you also need to have your child learn how to advocate for him or herself. So it's just, you have to be in that mindset of it takes a village. If a relationship doesn't work, find out why, and work through it as much as you can. They're all there because they want to be there. Most teachers, I'm a teacher. I was taught for 15 years, so I'm pretty good with teaching and parenting, 10 years so far. And so it's very important that you know that everybody wants the best for all our kids. Just make sure that you work with the teachers as best you can. Also know that there are so many resources within these independent school district, that's what ISD stands for, that you can have at-home specialists come into your house and help you also with behavioral issues, and they can help you with how to help your child get used to routines, change in environment. It's wonderful what's out there. You just have to do the research on that. Number 8, build your support system at home and explain to them what is autism. That means your family and friends and caretakers. So when you have babysitters come over, your family and friends come over, grandpa decides to come, grandpa can babysit for you guys for the night, you have to explain to grandpa what discipline looks like for a child with autism. So what it means is, like, no, you're not going to let them run rampant. Again, they need their boundaries just like anybody else does. It's just his timeout, hitting, yelling doesn't work. So make sure that you, whatever the house rules are, that your caretakers and family members can follow through with them as well. Because the more continuity you have surrounding the child, the easier everybody will do, the easier it will be. And then again, people are just more conscious about how to deal with each other, how to how to express yourself with them, and then you're better able to understand them as well. They'll feel more safe to want to open up and talk to you as well. Number 9, give each other space and time to be each one of who you are. So let each one of you be who you are. Don't twist and turn each other like, I expect you to be like this, when what you have is this beautiful, gorgeous soul that came into your life to teach you something, and you to his or her life to teach them something. So keep in mind that you're not changing anybody. What you're doing is you're helping them with behaviors, at least your children, and even with your husband and wife, or your significant other. The idea is that you're letting them be themselves. The more you let someone be themselves, the more joyful they are around you, and the more they want to share life with you. So it's really big that way there's space for everybody to be. we're all living in close proximity. We should all be practicing this anyway, but especially within the home. And then number 10, which kind of goes along the lines number 9, it's learn how to deal with your emotions. So all of you, one of the things that we taught the boys really early on, if they get angry, it's absolutely okay to be mad. Yeah, be mad. But no, you can't throw things, and no, you can't hurt me, and no, you can't hit anybody. You can go yell into a pillow. You can ask for a hug. You can breathe. You can, if it wasn't from video games, you can give them space. Doing something that allows the person to have their emotion, let it dissipate, and then come back to why the emotion, what can we do to help next time around, so that it doesn't have to be a meltdown. But the idea is that all of you, husband, wife, children, everybody has to have, again, the what they call emotional or EQ, quotient, emotional quotient, or EQ, where you learn how to deal with emotions in a holistic way, in a healthy way, where you're not repressing, you're not putting it on somebody else, you're cleaning your side, you're keeping your side of the street clean. This is huge. And yeah, you're just more aware of what you're doing. And it's okay to have your emotions. It's okay to yell too. It's not a bad thing when those emotions, take over. It's just more of a being aware, apologizing. Yes, I have apologized to my children quite a few times when I yell at them. And because I've taught them about their own emotions, and when they have theirs, they're really sweet about it. They're like, it's okay, Mom, I'll breathe. Everything's fine. And it's actually really sweet. But the point is that it's a practice. We've been doing this for a long time. So don't get overwhelmed if these top 10 things seem like a lot. But there's just what helped me, which I wish I would have known back then, and I am passing it on to you. Really, it all boils down to this: inner peace. You find your inner peace, you can deal with anything in life, because life will always throw curveballs at you. So the point is, be aware of who you are. Listen to yourself. Listen to the gut feelings. They're always right, almost always right. Find out where are your fears coming from. Why are you mad? And then you'll be able to handle everything with much more grace, love, and care. So I hope this helps get you started. Stay tuned. I will have more videos on each one of those points, the top 10 things. And I send you all love, light, and blessings, and wish you the best. Have a wonderful afternoon.